Adventures calling, treasure awaits. Join us on a journey, let's open the gates. Welcome to the pod where the treasure is found. X marks the pod, let's gather around.
Hey, welcome to X Marks the Pod, the podcast for treasure hunters by treasure hunters. I'm Bruce on the ground, and I have Jaws and Megan with me. Guys, how are you doing today? How'd you survive the winter storms? Don't each of you go at the same time.
Megan really got the weather, so I was going to let her go first.
We made it out by Thursday. So 4 days we were trapped inside with children, but they got to go back to school on Friday. So,
oh, very good. Jaws, anything down there in Houston?
We got some rain Saturday that froze into a little bit of ice by Sunday, and school was canceled, of course, because the world was ending because it rained. And that was about it.
Okay. So not too bad for you guys, but obviously it slowed down your boots on the ground for last week with the threat of bad weather. What's your plans for the upcoming week? Do you have anything going?
while I was stuck at home waiting, to get out and to go boots on the ground and seeing everything going on at Treasure Con, I played heavy on the Amazon cart and picked up three new treasure hunting jewels that would be coming. Force Fin.
What do you mean jewels? Books?
I ordered three. Yes, my own gold. I ordered my own gold off of Amazon. So I got the Force Fin memoir, Justin Posey book, Beyond the Map's Edge, and I ordered tickets to the Seeker Summit. So that was my treasure hunting for the week. But next week, Friday, Muskie Guy is hopefully coming down, and I'm gonna search with him. I've searched for him twice, and so he searched once on his own, and so we get to meet up and explore that area. He was not deterred by Treasure Con, so
awesome. Jaws, what about you? What's in the plans?
I will be heading out Friday after work for yet another boots on the ground in the same area because I am the Determinator. And I'm going to find that box there. I'm determined.
There you go. That's what we love about him. That's what we love about folks. He has not given up. Very good. Well, I had my own unique version of boots on the ground. As Megan said, Seeking Treasure Con was this past weekend in Las Vegas. Phenomenal time. Shout out to Christy and Mike Calzars for putting that together. You guys did a great job. There were an amazing number of prizes there, an awesome swag bag, a great panel of folks there with the discussions, and just had a really great time. And it was fantastic out there to meet some of the folks that you see all the time, creators. Emma and Jam obviously were there. We had Eric and Laura, One Clue Short. Me and Laura became BFFs at some point during the weekend. She was awesome. The TTI unofficial crew, Blake and I had a great time. We actually got out and did an escape room with a couple folks from the con. We succeeded, which was great. And that was a lot of fun. Didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time with Cody and Brim, but they got in a day later, but they were super nice. It was Froggy, got to meet Froggy in person, and Habeas Treasurous, got to meet him. So just a lot of great creators there and a lot of cool people that I met as well. There were so many people there. So shout out to Max and KK, Wade and Julie, Savannah and her awesome mom, Christine, Ben and Kevin and Kathy, Carol Ann and Jane, and of course getting to meet some folks from the Golden Greed. Lou B was there with his wife, Sherry, and his grown-up son now, Chance, who I ran into drinking a beer, which I was a little put off by that because I thought he was a little smaller than that. But no, super great family. Got to meet Cynthia. Just so many people. There were so many people there, and it was an amazing time all around. And one of the biggest highlights for me, I have to say, was Emma and Jam had a party to celebrate their 1-year anniversary for Treasure Hunt with Us. Phenomenal turnout. Over 130 people showed up, and at this bar, great time. Justin Posey shows up. People weren't expecting that. We kind of had talked about a little bit about it on the pod with them, and we kind of suspected he might show up. But at some point after some liquid courage, I decided to go up and introduce myself to Justin. I never met him before, right? So I start walking up to him, and I see him, and I put my hand out, and he goes, "Bruce," and my brain exploded in that moment. I was like, "What? Like, you know who I am?" And he's like, "Yes, I love you. I love the pod." I was like, "You love the pod?" I was just fanboying all over the place. And so, yeah, and thanks to that liquid courage, I just became his BFF right there on the spot. I didn't want to punch him in the face for screwing up my solves with some of the comments that he's made. All was well. My heart was repaired for Justin in that moment. So, no, a great, fantastic guy, super nice. Actually offered to be on the pod, so actually coordinating with Justin now to try to figure out when we can do that. So super excited for that, you BTME fans. We're going to get Justin on here, and hopefully we'll probably solicit some questions from the community in preparation for that. We want to make sure we get some quality questions out to him. But that was just like ridiculously exciting to me. So I told him when he left, I said, "Thanks for making my night." Like, you absolutely did. So shout out, Justin. We appreciate you. A lot of cool stuff that went on there. We had the big World Series of Fen poker tournament. I did actually pretty well in there. Finished 21st out of 143. The bad news is I won the good news is I won $200. The bad news is I paid $300 with my rebuys to play. So it cost me $100 to play to finish 21st. But a ton of fun. Shout out to Vince, who won the whole thing. He won about $3,000. It was quite a substantial little pot there. Negative shout out to Lawrence, my new friend, who knocked me out of the tournament. He was sitting just to the left of me with the big stack for the whole thing, right? And he just called with whatever he had. So thanks for nothing, Lawrence. We really don't appreciate that. Oh, the Mass Lady event, Hillary, got to meet her. Fantastic event. Free food, free booze. A lot of cool little things going on there. Got to meet some folks. Chad Bird, what an awesome guy he is. I don't know if you haven't met Chad. Treasure Quest. I hope I'm saying it right, but phenomenal dude. Really appreciate what he's doing for the community. The event was great, and a lot of good speakers. Like I said, the TTI unofficial folks did a really great job of getting up there and talking about their pod, and love them. But the main event, John Collins -Black was our guest speaker, and obviously we were super excited about that. His wife Kimberly came and was able to she kind of moderated it for us with the questions that were submitted, and there's a lot of thoughts on that. I'll be honest with you, I think there was more meat on the bone than I thought would be. So let me you guys have watched it. The Calzars has put out the full the good audio version of it. You guys had a chance to look at it. Give me your initial overall impressions of the Q&A.
I was glad to see it. Like, we were getting the little clips on Discord and trying to, hold our phones up to our ears so we could hear it better. And then Mysterious Writings put out like the list of all of the questions and the answers, and like I read it and formed opinions. And then when I got to actually hear the audio, see his reaction, see his face, see his answers, and have it all together, all of that information together, it was like a whole new take. And so like my brain then got reconstructed again, because now I can see his face while I have these feelings already happening. And so it was so awesome. Like, I regretted not getting to be there after hearing it. And I think it was huge. I think it was absolutely huge for the treasure hunt. I think we're going to be in a whole new place this year than we were last year.
Very good. Very good. Jaws, what are your initial impressions of it?
Of course I wasn't there, so I'm just getting snippets as they come, like Megan was. And one of the things I heard was, if you move 10 yards in that direction, you're standing in a river. And I about had a heart attack at that point, because there's no river where I'm searching. I'm still wrestling with the word river in my heart here. Still hurts me a little bit.
I want to get more into that as we get into the specifics, but anything about the whole thing that stood out to you? I mean, just overall impression?
Man, I think it was awesome.
Yeah.
I agree with what you said, Bruce. There's a lot of meat on the bone there. There was a lot of good questions. There were some not so good questions, I thought, but sifting through it, there was a lot of good information put out, I think, in this panel. And I'm really hoping, shout out to Seeker Summit coming up with Jam and Emma. They're talking with JCB, trying to talk him into making a second appearance. And I would love to see him come out, and I want to ask him about that word river if he does, and just get to sit down and see it in person, like Megan said, would be a whole different experience, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could definitely feel the buzz. There were certain questions that the answers elicited a very definitive buzz in the room. And I think you hit on one of them, and there's one significant one in there too that we did, but we'll get to that. But the one thread that I've noticed throughout Discord today, and even since the JCB Q&A, right? A lot of people are questioning his not motives, but like, is he telling us the truth? Is he pretending he doesn't know this, or is he trying to deceive us or mislead us? I'm curious what you guys' opinions are on that. Is JCB being upfront, or is there some subterfuge going on here? Is he trying to keep this hunt going, or whatever the reason might be? I'm just curious what you think.
Yeah, I think he's being upfront with us. I think he's very guarded because of what he saw in the Forrest Fenn hunt and the things that Forrest was saying and clues he's giving out to certain people and things like that. I think JCB wants to keep this hunt pure, and he doesn't want to give out anything to anyone that other people don't have. And so I think he's just trying to keep us all on the same level and not put out information that doesn't give someone else a leg up.
Okay, fair enough. Megan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's still excited about it, and I think he's trying to move us forward. And I thought he was really generous with everything he said and truthful. I don't think that there was anything misleading in anything that he said. In my mind, everything was very black and white. And I'm not someone who normally, I can be swayed by bias and think, oh, well, he might have meant this, or I don't think that's really what he meant. I think every answer he gave was very clear and that there shouldn't be any questions left.
Okay, so not trying to read into it or think that he's maybe double talking us or anything like that.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
I think we have a unanimous vote here. I totally agree. I don't see the point. I guess that's the thing, right? I don't see the point of trying to mislead us because
We're
what's his
already
goal?
so confused.
Right. Nobody's been in a box after 18 months-ish, right?
Right.
So we are right. Why would he want to extend it? We're doing a good enough job on our own extending the hunt, right? It's clear that the man's not interested in selling books. I mean, this is his first, he just did his first book signing and, the whole in 18 months. He said it's like probably going to be the only one. He's visibly, and I won't say visibly, but like he wants to try to answer stuff, but he hates when he can't answer things, and that puts him in an odd position, right? So I don't understand why would people would think that he's trying to deceive us or draw this out. I think, again, what's the theme, all at once, what's the theme of the book?
Joy. All
Right.
at once, joy.
Joe's a little late on that, but that's all right. Joy, right? I mean, I think he wants us to experience the joy of finding these. I think he's excited for us to find them. I don't think he's telling us something or trying to mislead us or, saying something that's going to throw us on a path that doesn't matter. I feel like I don't know. The only reason I could, like I said, that he doesn't like the spotlight. I don't think he cares about selling books. So like the only reason he would like want to extend this or mislead us is that he's like a sociopath that's, sadistic and wants us to suffer for the next whatever. And I just don't get that. So anyway, that's
And,
oh, go ahead.
and one thing he said along those lines that I really appreciated was he pointed out how we're the bus drivers now and we get to write the end of the story, not him. And I really like that. Like, it shows you that he doesn't want the focus on him. He wants the focus to be on the treasure hunt and on the community. And it's up to us to write the end of the story.
I agree. I think he made that very clear in there, and yeah. And so if you're doubting that and a lot of the questions about like John saying what's a substitution cipher, like people are reading into that. To me, I'm like he didn't put a cipher in there. Like the cryptogram, that's it. That's the only one. Like they're not, and even if well, we'll get into it, but all right. So I think we're at where the X marks the pod consensus is, John, you're a straight shooter. We're going to take what you say at face value, and we're going to say that you want us to try to find some boxes in 2026, the year of the found treasure box. Trademark Bruce on the ground. All right, let's get into some of the specifics of the Q&A. All right, and there's one that I just got to start off with, and I'm just going to let you go. Megan, you got to tell me how you feel after hearing that Froakie is not important.
It's been such a stage. I've gone through all of the emotions. Like my first was no. Like that isn't true. Like obviously he means something. Why does he have a tail? And what is that little piece under his tail? And why does he have 3 fingers on here? And why is this hand doing something weird? And if you were just gonna have AI create you something, like why would it do that? Like why would AI choose that? Those are like specific numbers. And then I like listened again. Because when it came in first, I heard that snippet that I was holding up to my ear, and then I read it on the paper, and I went into the living room and I telling my family, like, he just said that Froakie doesn't mean anything. Like we have spent so much time, like, and we've been searching, and Froakie doesn't mean anything. Like that is a major part of this solve and this solve and this solve. So if I'm working with this guy and this guy and this guy, like his belly, his water drop and his belly are the main focuses. They match up here perfectly. Like, how could this be? And my daughter came over and she's like, I am really sorry that this has happened to you. And my 18-year-old, she's giving me more condolence than when I lost my job, because she understands like how big this was to me. Like you've just lost a year of your life essentially because you've been so focused on Froakie. And so I can accept it now, though. I'll move on.
You've hit the fifth stage of grieving and acceptance. Okay, very good.
Yeah. I mean, I do have picketing signs. KB, I think from Discord, a he or she. I don't know if it's a he or she. They were capitalizing all of their remarks today, so they felt as strongly as I did. So they've agreed to come on the picket line with me. But I'm going to say that there's going to be 5% of me that when the solve comes out, he's going to explain that Froakie's hands mean something, but you just don't need it. There's still 5%. There's 5% inside of me that still thinks that, but I'm going to go on and reboot all of my solves not using Froakie.
But doesn't that just counteract what we just talked about John
It
telling?
does.
Oh, okay. So on one hand, you think he's not lying, but about Froakie, he's not telling us everything about Froakie's hand.
He's not telling us everything.
It means something.
But here's my thing on this. He said Froakie's not important. He never said Froakie doesn't have any clues. There could still be clues in there, but they're not important to the end of the solution and picking up the box.
I don't think he said there's no clues, though. He didn't.
Yeah, he didn't.
He said he's just irrelevant. Froakie. Did he use the word irrelevant?
I think he said he wasn't important.
Yeah, he said he wasn't important.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there's no clues in Froakie.
To me,
the other thing that you have to question is, I know the question was directed at Froakie, but what does that mean about Gray Ninja? Because he didn't mention him. Is he important? Are there clues in him? Like, we don't know because he didn't say.
There's zero purpose for him to be drawn the way he is because he doesn't look like that at all, but either does Froakie. But if you are doing Froakie means nothing, I think you have to mean he means nothing also. We just cry. It's fine.
Well, what would you like to say to John, Megan? If John, you're listening, Megan, tell John what you feel, how you feel about this.
Really need more because we have invested a year of our life. Like this is. I mean, I've given him forgiveness because like that's what a treasure hunt is, right? Like we've been out on all of these trails all along with little likelihood of finding it or being the winner. And so we were going to waste our time anyways. Only one person didn't waste their time when they're holding the box. And so, and I know we can all say the little cute thing that we're not wasting our time because we're with our family and we're out in nature, but
But heck
Hey,
with the
when
family, heck with nature. I want to. I'm pissed
Right.
off.
Hey, I will
Yeah.
say it to me it is a waste of time though if it's not because like I love the nature aspect. I love being out in the nature and the hiking and I'm like Bruce, I don't really love the searching part of it, but I do it because that's what it is. But I'm driving like 15, 14, 15 hours every time to go look. That's the part that's the waste to me, like driving in a car by myself when I could be doing something else for those 15 hours. Like, yeah, I would rather
My
not waste
husband,
those hours.
my husband was like, "What else would you have been doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. I may have been a totally different person by now. Who knows?"
You might have
Might have
been looking
learned a
for the past
musical
and future.
instrument.
You might have been looking for the past and future box.
Maybe.
Mm. All right. So during JCB's thing, I was messaging the two of them since they weren't there, and I was kind of trying to hit the odds. And one, there was an audible rumble in the room when he said that Frokie wasn't important. I mean, it was audible. And and then I messaged it to these guys with the mind blow icon, and after about 2 seconds, I get no, 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 no. I quit from Megan.
Bruce is like,
Oh,
I should probably just stop talking to them. Like I'm damaging the,
oh
the
I know I've
therapy.
scarred them for life, and I hope to God I heard John right when I said that. I had to get send Megan into a tizzy without the due cause. So that was
But
oh
then we got the opposite of what Bruce got there. You got the uproar there, and then we got silence from Megan. Like she disappeared, and we didn't hear from her. And I was like, "Do you have her husband's phone number so we can
I
check on her?"
know we were we were genuinely concerned. Like we're like, Megan, come back, Megan, come on, you're okay, Megan. No, I knew it. Yeah. So again, you had to go through the 5 stages of grief
Yeah,
to get to
I
this.
had to walk away for a bit.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah, that was that. I think that was probably the biggest kind of mind blow of John's comments there. But so let me ask: Did obviously you said it, Megan. It's totally derailed yourselves, and you're kind of starting back from square one. Jaws, obviously you said you're going out. You're the Terminator this weekend, same place. It didn't impact yourself. Why or why not?
I've I've never had a lot of stock in Frokie. Like I've seen things that resemble parts of him where I am, but it didn't get me to where I am. Uh, to me, I found more clues in Gray Ninja though, so I do wonder about him if there are clues in him because I can point to parts of him that are a perfect match for where I'm at. The only thing that he said about the Pokemon box that almost derails me is the question about if you're standing where the Pokemon is standing in the picture. He didn't call him Mewtwo, so I'll just call him the Pokemon.
Right.
Uh, if he said if you went 10 yards, you'd be in the river. There's no river where I'm searching, but if I go 10 yards, I am going to be down by some water that's flowing. Now, he didn't have time to prepare for that question. It was an audience question. So I don't know. Did he mean a literal, it's a river, or was he just referring to it because it's moving water? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that was that. That's a good transition. There was a lot of discussion yesterday, in particular on Discord about the word river, and I even was like, I have a flowing body of water at my solve location, but it's not a river. So I'm like, what could be a river? And ChatGPT kind of came back and said any flowing body of water could be a river. So I'm gonna kind of go with that. And like you pointed out, it was a off the cuff comment. He didn't really, what time to say stream, creek, river, whatever. So I'm hopeful that that hasn't derailed my solve. So I'm gonna
Yep.
go with that. I'm gonna trust that definition of river. It doesn't have to be a named river like the Mississippi River, Missouri River, whatever. I'm gonna go with that. Megan, any thoughts on that? And is that change? Is that helping shape your new, brand new solve methodology?
So I think he said river because he meant river, but I hadn't considered that it was an audience question, so that is true. But I think he's a smart guy. He wrote this. He's dealt with maps this entire time, so I think when he said river, he meant river. it only derails my solve with Jaws. But I kind of reframed it though. It worked. It works fine for my other solves because I was always in the Buffalo National River, so it was fine. But I saw I think it was, gosh, Magnificent. She talked about Mewtwo pointing and saying that maybe Mewtwo pointing in there is actually like symbolic to a pointing trail or a location with the name pointing, and that he's not in a real place. I've also seen it be said that when he said if you go 10 yards or 10 feet or whatever, you're in the river, I think you need to go beyond that. And so when he said that, I think he was giving advice to the person asking that question, that you may be standing in Mewtwo's location and there may be a river 10 feet, but that's not where I want you to be looking. That's not where the box is. I think you need to go beyond that. And by beyond that, beyond in your solve. And so even at Jaws' location, if he's coming from Louisiana or anywhere, he's driven past a river. And so he could have taken a picture of a bluff line and put Mewtwo in there and be like, this is the way we're going. And if Mewtwo then means a trail that has point in it, or a symbolic name that would think about a Mewtwo pointing, like we have rocks down here that are named after cats and stuff like that. So if he, if it may be symbolic, and that's kind of what I heard him say when I rewatched it again tonight. So I watched it twice, and the first time I was like, crap, he said river, that's out. We got to move on. I need to be looking for a river. And then I'm like, how are we going to do that in Arkansas? Every single bluff line looks like that on the river. And then going through Discord tonight and re-listening, I'm like, I think he was trying to push us forward and give us a clue that we were this close, but just keep going.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And because you think about like along actual river banks too, like that's going to be, I don't think it's conducive to solves as these smaller places that we're at that have the streams. So hopefully, yeah, we're hoping that he just kind of not misspoke, but just used that phrase generically, not in the proper noun sense of the word. So, all right, so that's good. So hopefully that'll help you. It didn't mess your solve up, Jaws. Didn't mess up mine. We're gonna hope for that. Megan, you're gonna use it in the what we think is the proper context to solve your new solve. But do you have a new Pokemon solve yet? We haven't really talked about it. Are you where are you at on that?
Well, I think I'm going to leave Jaws
Okay.
and go back to my first two originals. So
Oh, back in
John,
BNR?
well,
You don't
there's
have
one
to,
in BN. There's
okay.
one in BNR. There's
Okay.
one in BNR, but the other one that I was using historically, that I told you I used historical clues to get to, it's not BNR, but there's a river. But then that brings up the whole other thing that he talked about, and that he just kept telling us that we have to use just the book, just the text. And I never heard it. I mean, I knew he said it, but I didn't hear him say it before when in all of his interviews, or in all of his questions and answers. I never felt like that was what he meant. And this time I did feel like that was what he meant. We only really need the book, this chapter, and all of this chapter. So yeah, I'm gonna have to rework that though.
That was interesting, all of this chapter, because I remember a previous interview, I think we talked about that the story from when he finds Froakie is the most important thing of that. Like that's what actually happened that day was the Froakie story. So it's interesting to me that he went back to saying the whole chapter is used. I can definitely kind of like Jaws said, I have confirmers throughout the New Orleans story and all that. But and well, yeah, there's some other things in there too, I guess. So maybe that's true. But I definitely think that's where it's. I think that he really narrowed it down for us, because I mean I had different solves like how far are we supposed to look from where Mewtwo or Greninja is pointing. But I think this said he said like you probably need to go a little further. I slowed the video down so I could write that one down. So 10 yards, they're still in the river. You probably need to go a little further. So I'm thinking we're probably in a radius of 30 yards ish, maybe, that we need to be looking. I don't know if you guys have narrowed it down that far, or if you're still expanding the scope a little bit, or if it's changed your mind at all or refocused you at all.
I think it's 200 feet. If he knows someone's been within 200 feet,
Yeah, but that, I mean, a trail could be within 200 feet of that really easily within that. And what's, 30 yards, 90 feet. So, I mean, but you're saying that you're not limiting your search. You're like, I'm going to go from where I think Mewtwo is to 200 feet out is my radius.
but
That makes
here's
sense.
the other problem with that is when he says you need to go a little further, he also says in the chapter that picture was taken towards the end of the day, not at the end of the day, not where they hid the box. It's towards the end of the day. So to me, if you get to that location and you're standing where Mewtwo is, there's still more to go because he says it's towards the end.
Then,
So
okay, then where's Mewtwo pointing at? Like, what's to me, it's like that's your clue to like that. Look here, right? You're saying no. You're saying he's pointing in maybe in a general direction. You need to go back that way and backtrack to look for it. Is
I
that what I'm
think you
hearing?
need to follow something that's where he's pointing.
Okay, okay,
So
fair enough.
so
So
I
there
think
might be. Oh, go ahead, Megan.
so I think like I've seen on Discord, so if Mewtwo's pointing and 10 feet from the end of his finger is the river, are we crossing the river? Were we always on the other side of the river, or are we gonna have to go up? Are we
Okay.
going up the side of the picture? Like,
Okay. So for you guys, not a whole lot of clarity with that. Didn't really help. You kind of you're in the same kind of mindset of what you were already, basically. I mean,
It
kind of.
it may be my confirmation bias, but I was already planning on going where I thought Mewtwo was pointing,
Okay.
and that was my next planned trip this weekend. So hopefully I'm right, and that's where he was pointing, and I'm going in the right place.
The Determinator has confirmation bias. Yes, he does. Okay, we all do. Very good. Let's move on to while we're talking about the picture. John made a comment about it was a single picture from his using his the camera on his phone. Nothing was overlaid on it. The only thing that was added, we didn't really say it, but he mentioned there was something added, and we all, kind of general consensus is the Mewtwo, right? But no, it's not a layered picture of other areas. Does that impact you guys at all with your solves? Jaws, no?
So he said there were no other photos overlaid on it, but he
Yeah.
also said he did do things to the picture. So
Well,
clearly there's more to that picture than just the picture. He also refrained from answering how many Pokemon were in the picture when someone asked that. So there's more to this picture than it just being the picture. We have to figure out what that is. That's something that we've been working on this week with my father-in-law and I, and he's found some other Pokemon in this picture that I never even noticed before. So I think we're still heading in the right direction based on what he found. Hopefully, if it's not a river.
right,
So
right. No, I get what you're saying. I think the general consensus was that what he added was just the Mewtwo, but I mean, I see where you could definitely interpret it that way. And again, that that was a question posed by Blake from TTI Unofficial. He actually posted in his Q&A session or his panel discussion as part of the con. He asked the crowd, "Do you think there's three generations in there, the Charmander to Charizard?" And about two, oh, I was like, nope. Like two
yeah.
people said cheered. And then the rest, when he said who doesn't, then the rest of the or more folks did that. So that's why he asked that question in the Q&A and got the response that he did from the crowd. Um, Megan, where are you at? I know you've Rorschach tested the heck out of this picture. I'm curious of what you think. Is there still, even though he hasn't overlaid anything on it, added other whatever pictures to it, but you think he's manipulated it and added other things that we need to look at?
yeah, I still think there's numbers in there. I still see numbers in there. I know like when you zoom in on wood or you're zooming in on rocks, they can have texture that will give you shapes that look like numbers and letters, but some of those letters or numbers are so clear that it's hard to believe that it's just that.
Okay, so no confirmation bias from you. It's that clear that those numbers are there.
I don't know what they are, so
I don't, they're numbers, but I'm not sure what they are. I like that. That's really good.
yeah.
I'm on the other side of this one. Big surprise, right? I think it's just the Mewtwo is the only one that we need to care about. I think like what you guys are talking about with looking at this thing and trying to find shapes, numbers, Pokemon, whatever. Like if you did that and said circled it and go and showed 10 different people and went, what is this? And I feel like if there's a chance that you get 8 to 10 different answers, then that's a tough one for me. So, but I get it. I get what
So
you guys where you guys
my,
coming at.
my only issue with that is if Mewtwo is the only Pokemon in that picture that you're supposed to find, why wouldn't he say that when he was asked that question?
One thing that John kind of mentioned, I think, in there was like he doesn't want to confirm anything. You know, like we'll get to there's other parts in there, but he doesn't want to confirm clues. I think is what the bottom line is. And I think when you talked about the Fast and Future box, he kind of alluded to that with the on and no discussion. That's my thought, Jaws. That he just he doesn't want to confirm things. We want to figure it out
But
for ourselves.
meanwhile, he does confirm other things, like some of the other
Like
things I want to talk
what did
about,
he
like with
what did he
well,
confirm?
Forrest Fenn. He confirmed that all you need is the poem. You don't need to read the chapter to find the box. It's the poem.
Fair enough.
So to me, if he's looking at that picture and Mewtwo's the only thing he put in that picture, why wouldn't you just say Mewtwo's the only thing you got to figure out? He's the only Pokemon.
I can see your point on that. I think it's probably with the scope of it, because the poem is the whole thing is the poem where the picture of Mewtwo is a piece of the puzzle. So maybe that's where I would make the distinction. He doesn't want to give away individual clues. Like he's not giving away he's not telling us what warm water salt means or what the Thinker's Stone is. I guess that's how I correlate it. So,
But
but I get what you're saying.
but he wouldn't be giving away any clues if he said that Mewtwo was the only Pokemon in there.
Um, yeah, I mean, we all know the Mewtwo's in there.
Yeah,
So,
or whatever it is, the
yeah.
Pokemon he called it.
Yeah, fair point, fair point. I don't know. Maybe we'll get the chance to ask him that one day. Write that one down for your question bank.
I've got a list going. You don't got
John's
to
not going
worry.
to want to come on John's not going to want to come on our pod for an interview just because all the questions John's going to try to pin him down on. And then John's going to argue with him. And you don't mess with you don't mess with the Determinator, John. I have to tell
It's
you
not
that.
a river.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Jaws has been officially disqualified from TTI solving any boxes at all from pissing off John. Anyway, no, good stuff. Good stuff. No red herrings in the Pokemon chapter. How do you feel about that?
I saw a comment on Discord that said if there's no red herrings in Pokemon chapter, then what's going on with Froaky's fingers? And I wanted to be like, yeah, you're right. Seems like a red herring to me. But then we have to go back to Cody's definition of what's a red herring. So, and I think he defines it like, did he intentionally try to deceive us? And by putting Froakie in there, he might have not thought, oh, these guys are going to be studying his fingers instead of just thinking, oh, that's a cute little guy.
Right. I think that, yeah, and I think Cody is correct on his definition. I think the key word there is intentional. I think that's it. And that, again, everybody can think that, if they find something that's a clue, then obviously John intentionally put that in there to throw me off and all that. So I know people feel that way with Hemmed In a lot on that one. To me, the surprising thing was when the question was asked about Froakie and his hand, like John literally had to stop and think about it. Like he was like, "What? What do you mean?" And I don't think he was faking that. I think it was like he was really not really sure what you were even talking about. To me, that screams,
Yeah.
it's not important, right? And he obviously he backed that up. But other things when people say it, he goes, I'm gonna have to pass on that one, or oh gosh, he do the oh gosh, I know you guys are gonna hate this and da da da, so I can't answer it. But he was genuinely kind of like didn't know. So yeah, so I think So you're saying, I guess, are you saying red herrings or no red herrings, Megan?
I'm fine with no red herrings.
All right, Jaws, what are your thoughts, brother?
This was one of my favorite moments of our live chat we had going during the presentation because Bruce goes, he said there's no red herrings. And I was like, I never thought there were. And Bruce is like, I'm just passing along. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here.
I know. Jaws was like trying to defend. I thought he was like defending his solids. He's like, I never thought that, or I didn't think that. And I'm reading it in that kind of tone. I didn't think that. I didn't think that. And I'm like, well, damn it, Jaws, stop. I'm trying to help you out. Just listen.
I've never thought there were red herrings, and I don't know if there are in other places in the book. There could be, but the Pokemon chapter, I never thought there was anything that was.
That leads to the next question. How about throughout the book? Do you think, John, there are red herrings in TTI? Megan?
So
Oh, sorry, you're not Megan.
I mean, I think he might have just put in extra information in there, when he's telling about the history or, any of the stories. He may have embellished them to make them sound, more appealing or alluring, but I don't think anything he put in there is going to lead you astray intentionally.
Fair enough. Jaws, you're nodding.
yeah, even the stuff that I would call possibly a red herring, like LRP for the map, matching the map. I don't think it's at LRP, but I don't think that's a red herring. I think people just end it at LRP because I found another place that matches the map as well. And so it wasn't intentional, I don't think. I think he meant to put that map in there because that is the actual map, but it's not LRP. So I think it just became a red herring because of people finding that map and saying that's it.
Okay, fair enough. So it sounds like we don't think that there's any intentional misdirection or misleading. It's, John wrote it, and if we happen to, I think we red herring ourselves because we think, we're like, yes, this has got to be a clue. This has to be a clue. Da da da, because of this, and this, and then we end up red herringing ourselves. I don't know if that's correct or not. Maybe I just
We're copyrighted Bruce Word.
See, Jaws is on to me now. Jaws knows I'm trying to copyright everything I can here. This one wasn't directly about the Pokemon, but I feel like it is. Is there a box or boxes that would probably never get snowed on given normal weather circumstances? And John said probably. Now, I like that answer a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. How did you guys feel about it?
I don't know how to apply it. I don't know which box when it like if it's in
Right.
Arkansas, it's going to be snowed on. If it, I don't know snow bases. When I Googled it, it said basically every state could get snow. So, I don't know how to use that.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Jaws.
Well, I think he even built on that. Like he said, there's always the chance with weather that it could get snowed on, but most likely there's at least one box that doesn't get a lot, which doesn't derail my solve at all. Like I've Googled and I've looked up the weather patterns where I'm searching, and I know the snowfall per year there. I've already looked at all that.
Okay, what's it? Well, I won't. I know you won't tell me because somebody will try to figure out based on the average snowfall of your location where you're searching. But
I'll
um,
tell you, it's less than 3 inches per year, and
okay,
so that's not likely to bury a box.
okay. So again, I think most likely, obviously, to me, at least for my solve bank of different solves, it's the Pokemon box is to me the most obvious one of those. Obviously, you wouldn't say, well, maybe Appalachian Trail if you're down in Georgia. If you think it's in Georgia, then you might have an argument there. Um, past and future, you're looking mainly, Ohio and Tahoe are the main two culprits there. Tahoe, obviously getting snow. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, is he talking about the Pokemon box? What do we think?
I think that's the only box that fits the description.
Okay. Well, that's where I like my Alabama solve a lot more because I mean, where you get 3 inches, Alabama gets snow like once every, you know, 20 years and like a dusting of it, right? So it's not very much at all. So that was to me, I was more encouraged. I get why, and I knew that you would immediately look up the snowfall totals for your location, but
I
that's
already
good.
knew before that.
Yeah, but I mean, having let I grew up in Tennessee, so and I spent a lot of time in in the South through my military career. So yeah, I mean, I know almost everywhere along what you would kind of think is the logical route. I know I don't want to argue that one, but not a lot of snow going on in that route. Okay, fair enough. Those kind of were the ones that really hit me with the Pokemon box. I have some for the other boxes, but I'm curious if there's other ones that you guys wanted to talk about or other things that you picked up before we maybe go to the other ones, or if you want to lead into another box.
Yeah, there were a couple. The he Someone asked a question about a different box or boxes in general, and he about locals having more an insight. And he said, I think that locals are going to be surprised at the fact that they were very close to boxes at all times or a box at all times when they're around their campfire. And so that felt very Pokemon to me that
Mm.
locals and so then you have to take it a step further and like locals aren't at campgrounds. That we're not hanging out at campgrounds at the campfires there, that we're building them on the trails, or we have places, uh sandbars and such that we go to. And so if you're on a trail in the BNR, you see along the way campfires. And so somewhere close to one of those may be one of the boxes. And so that felt like a huge clue to me.
That's very interesting. I didn't pick up on that. I just kind of hand waved it, I think. But that you make a very good point. Like, campsites are not going to be, man or occupied by locals, right? And that helps my solve actually. So thank you. Appreciate that. That's really good. Jaws, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, like campfire and camping, like immediately stuck out to me as well. Like my solve has been based around a campground for a long time, and there are locals at this campground.
How do
So
you know? Did you talk to them? Do you get ask for
I
ID? What are you
I
doing? Oh, you
have
do.
I
Oh, you
have
do.
I have talked to quite a few locals at the campground.
That's funny. Yeah, John's like,
So
y'all locals up in here. Let me see some
and this and
identification.
this campground is also run by park rangers. So they are all absolutely locals and they're there all the time.
There you
So
go. All right. Very good. Great observation, Megan. Anything else that stood out to you in the Q&A?
Yeah, Emma's question about the people were searching north of I-40.
Mm.
And he said he intentionally kept stopping her and restarting on my childhood trip, on my childhood trip, on my childhood trip. I think we went north of I-40. And so then he went on to say that the box is hidden in a place that was inspired by his childhood trip. And so that got me in a whole bunch of other ways because on his childhood trip, that's how he went in that circular route. But where he hid the box was inspired from that trip. And so when we're talking about people being up in Indiana, or now, in my mind, anywhere in the United States, does Coltrane play differently now? Was something that happened in Louisiana or in Houston, is there a clue in the chapter that's going to send you to a different state? Those happenings that went on in Louisiana or Houston, then Coltrane, and then throws you anywhere in the United States. And we may be all completely wrong because we're trying to stay in that circle, because he said it inspired me. And he was very, very clear that he was talking about his childhood trip was based around I-40.
Interesting. Jaws, thoughts on that one?
I I don't think he would put a story about this road trip and not have the box somewhere within the scope of that road trip. Like,
Mm,
I mean, that's a lot of territory to cover, let's be honest, between Statesville, North Carolina, all the way to Houston, all the way back in a circle. That
right.
that leaves a lot of room to leave a box, and I don't think he would put those things in as clues and not have the box somewhere in one of those states.
Right, right. And again, this is the first I've kind of picked up on that, Megan, and I wrote that down, inspired by childhood trip. The thing that came to mind to me when you said that was he made a comment like he felt like he was five again when he was turning over rocks and finding salamanders and hiking barefoot through the campground. Like that's what you said, that my initial reaction was to that, and why he felt like that, and that inspired by that way, which really helps my solve at Carrera Nature Preserve, where they do educational things and turn over rocks and look for salamanders, FYI. So again, another great observation, I think. But he did, yeah, you're right. He did emphasize a couple times, like about the childhood trip, childhood trip, childhood trip. So I think that's pretty good. You keep knocking it out of the park for myself. I appreciate it.
Well, and then to add on to like it being a memory from a childhood trip, like towards the end, someone asked him what were the top priorities you had when you were hiding the boxes, and he said areas that had significance to him. So obviously he went somewhere on this childhood trip that has significance to him. So that's where I would say he left the box. If you don't have a place where they're turning over rocks and finding salamanders, you're probably not in the right area. There's got to be some form of water, some form of rocks being flipped. Like, yes, Bruce, that does help with your solve. uh, it also helps with mine, so I'm not going to complain. But yeah, like these places had significance to him. So it's somewhere he went on his childhood trip is probably near where this box is, if not right by it. So that's, to me, I'm looking for something that's going to give him significant memories. And then something he said, beauty and nature was another thing. He wanted you to see the beauty. I've never been a big proponent of the beauty theory. I've heard it a million times, but now hearing it out of his mouth, I guess I got to look for something beautiful while I'm out there.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, great points all around. Any other Pokemon related before we start moving on to other boxes? Nope. Okay. Jaws, give us something. Give us something else that jumped out at you that was not Pokemon related.
So right off the bat, before he even started taking questions, this caught my ear, and I want to give a shout out to whoever this person is. I want you to reach out to us and let us know. Uh, K-Pro announced they were going to give away a book that had a special signature in it from John. I would love to know, what is this special signature? Whoever won this book, shout us out, leave us a comment, something. Did you get a clue that we're all missing out on now? Is like what's inside of each of the small boxes? What's going on? What do you guys think about this special signature?
Megan, did that resonate with you?
I didn't hear her say it, but I always have to tell these two guys we're girls. I'm a girl. And so we do things a little bit different, and we give kind of fluffy language a lot when we're talking. And so I don't know K-Pro very well. So I don't know if that was just fluffy language, like it's a special signature
Just
or is it
special, yeah.
special? Is there a
Just
special
special that
meaning?
he signed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's mine. I got mine. Mine signed. He said the very touching "Hi, Bruce." So that meant a lot to me. And
Special.
yeah, special, very special. And then you see the shape of his signature. He's very consistent on those, and they look like an X in my opinion. X marks the spot. X marks the pod. Um, so and other people had posted their pictures on there of the signature like that. I'm kind of leaning towards Megan's view on this one, Jaws. I think that maybe it was just like it's special that he signed it. Like that's maybe I don't I would be hard pressed to think that he gave a clue that only one person would have access to there. But
But isn't that what he did with all the small boxes?
what?
He put
The
a clue in
coin.
each one
Tough
of
one,
them
but
that only
you
one
gotta
person will.
you had to earn that one. You earned that
Yeah,
one.
that's true.
That's just here. Here's
Still
an
want, we still want you to reach out and show us it though, so that we can
Yes.
like cross that off.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure who won that. I can't. Oh wait, no, I do. I think I was actually standing in line with her at the book signing because she had one that she won and another one she bought. I don't know, maybe not. Sarah, I think was her name. Anyway, yes, I know. So Jaws is on a hunt to find this mystery special autograph by John to make sure it's not a clue that he was not given. So we don't want you to be left out on there. What else do we got? What else caught your attention?
So this one's for you, Bruce, because this is
Oh,
one of your boxes you've been looking for a lot yourself. When he said that in the Forest Fen chapter, the only thing you need is the poem, you don't need the text. That's not going to help you find the box. Does that impact you at all with your solve, or what did you think about that?
no, I've been that way since day one. That the poem is the meat of it. Now, I'm not saying there aren't confirmers in the story. Like there's a lot of things that I've not a lot. There's a few things I found, but the fact that he wanted to be a paleontologist. My solve is at Dinosaur National Monument, so that makes out there's he talks about being a pirate. There's a place called Steamboat Rock out there. It looks like a sail shape out there in the middle of everything. So there are things in there that the road I know, the road Dino that I made that kind of someone pointed that out to me. So that's a kind of a confirmation. But as far as the meat of it, I don't think they're. I think you're right. Actually, that kind of helps me a little bit because I got caught up on. There's a line in there that says that you don't need Forrest Fenn's poem to solve this, but for additional context, you might want to check it out. And I was like, is that going to give me a clue to where to look or where to find? But I mean, again, I think backtracking a little bit, if it's a place where John searched for the Forrest Fenn box, then my clues for the clues that are getting me there with John's poem I should be able to try to kind of match some of them with the Forrest
Hmm.
Fenn poem. So really not additional help, but just kind of a confirmation still, I guess. So I guess that the answer is no. It didn't impact me. I've always kind of been a poem purist on that one, but good question. So
So
yeah,
it's kind of like Frokie then. We could say that it's not important, but there might be some clues in there.
in the chapter,
Hmm.
oh, I think. No, he didn't say it was. He didn't say the chapter was not important. He said all you need to do to solve it. I mean, I think again, like there's confirmation. I know where you're going with this. I think Frookie is persona non grata. Like I don't think he means anything at all. But I get what you're saying. I mean, and you're wordsmithing it, and you're finding your meaning in it and how he said it. And we're all doing that. We're all figuring out what John meant by what he said. And so I totally get it. I'm in the I don't I think Frokie, you're dead to me. I don't want to see you no more. But I see where you're going. You're trying to box me in. I get it. You're trying to do the gotcha. This is gotcha journalism here with Jaws. So
Yeah, so
not
I got
today,
one more.
Jaws. Not
I got
today.
one more Forrest Fenn thing that popped out to me that I wanted to see what you thought about it.
Got it.
Someone asked him about where the picture of him and his wife hiking was taken, and he refused to answer that. Do you think the box is hidden where that picture was taken?
I will say no because in my location, there's not an area like that looks like with all that those dense pine trees like that. Trust me, I looked. I wanted to see. Yeah, I think I don't think it's relevant. I trust me, I did study that picture immensely, but to me that would discount the whole like it. All I need is the poem. Like if I need the picture to kind of figure out where they're at, then I think that discounts what he says. So no, I'm definitely not. I don't believe the pic. I think it's just a nice picture of him and Kimberly, and I wanted to include in the book. So very
It was
good.
a yes for me. I thought that it was. I think that he, because he said that four of the boxes he had to do reconnaissance on to know where to put them, but there was one he knew exactly where he was going to put it. And so, in my mind, if it was so special and he has a picture with Kimberly out in the woods, and that was like kind of a bonding time right before I think they got married, seems pretty special, then he would know exactly where he wanted to put that. But the only problem with that would be is Kimberly does not know where the boxes are. And so if she's in the picture, she knows where that spot is. So I wouldn't think that there would be a box there.
So you just talked yourself out of that.
Well, I like to
Well,
play games with my mind.
he he said
But yeah,
he
you're
never
getting you're
told.
getting you're getting live processing by Megan on the box softs. Go ahead, Jaws.
But the
Sorry.
thing with that is, he said he never told Kimberly where he hid any of the boxes. That
That's
doesn't mean it's not there.
that's interesting. It's so interesting that yeah, how we you really read into you really dive like to that next level of John what John's
Yeah.
saying. And that's what makes this interesting. Like John's always got this other perspective. Like, well, maybe just because he
But
did.
also in the picture, yes, he knew exactly where he was going with that, but that doesn't mean Kimberly knows like where in that picture. You know, he might have saw a special spot on his way to take the picture and was like, that's where it's gonna be.
Or it could just be that picture is the area where he left the box,
Yeah.
not necessarily it's in that one spot where he took that picture. So she
Yeah.
wouldn't know where it was if that's the case.
So do you think that's the box that he knew where he was going with it for? Or because while we've been talking tonight, then like I reheard us talking about his memories for Pokemon and that it must be some place that felt special to him while he was on that childhood trip. So now I'm like, maybe that was the box he knew exactly where it was going to go, which then that does a whole different thing for a Pokemon solve because that means he was actually on that trail if that's what happened.
You're getting a live look inside Megan's brain tonight. So once again, it's 2-1 against Bruce on this one. I don't think it's there where I don't think it's anywhere close to where that picture was or where it's just I think for plausible deniability, like even like region, park, something like she does not know. So that there is no chance. And again, the place that I'm at is a gorgeous place, and I could see him going, this is where it should be, and it's a really nice spot. It means a lot. So I'm gonna take the dissenting view on this one and vote no. But no, it's good discussion though. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and I think your corollaries there to the Pokemon box make a lot of sense. But again, it's more. He said it's like what did he? I can't remember exactly what he said, but it's like it's inspired by his childhood trip, and it's not exactly the place they went. So it wouldn't be any place that he knew about or went to when he was a kid, but is inspired by. So maybe it's that's the other. I don't know. I think the Pokemon box is going to be the outlier on that theme for me. But anyway, that's another discussion, I guess. What else we got? Anything else stand out to you guys?
One big thing that I took away when someone asked him about the lion's share box and the importance of the pictures in the book, and he said it would be really hard, almost impossible to find the lion's share without using the pictures. I thought that was a really cool thing because I'm a text person. Like, it's funny, like when me and Megan talk, she's always finding stuff in pictures. I'm tearing apart the text looking for stuff. I'm a text person. So I don't pay enough attention to the pictures in the book. But after he said that, now I'm like, man, I gotta go reread the entire book now and pay special attention to the pictures because I'm missing something. And I'm planning on taking a trip to search for a lion's share, hopefully in the future. And I don't want to go now. I'm like, I gotta look at these pictures more and figure out how these play into it.
And he only put an average of 2 clues per chapter. And so if the pictures are important and then you're spending all of your time in the words, like I have lists per chapters of numbers and clues, and only one of them is probably valid when you look back at it.
Well, so a couple good points. I hadn't really thought about the how important the pictures were to my lion share self because I have what I think is a very good lion share self. But the more I think about it, there is a couple pictures that actually I'm like, oh yeah, like that. I need that. So I get that. Megan, what do you think when he says there's over 50 clues to the lion's share? Is there an equal distribution? Are you like, are you keeping count to tick? You going like, okay, two here, two here, two here, or what's your method? Is there just one in this one, or maybe even none? He kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit about there might be none. He thought there was at least one in every chapter, but you think it's an equal distribution, or do we need to look for more in some chapters and less in others?
He seemed to imply that it was a fairly equal distribution, that you
How
know
I didn't hear that.
he said I think that there's at least, I think my intent was to put 2 clues per chapter. There was another time where I felt like he was being honest and he just couldn't remember. And
Okay.
so if he put like 15 in a chapter, he would have remembered that. So when he said there was probably, I tried, like my goal was to put 2 per chapter. There may be 3, there may be 1, but I'm going to think that there's an average of 2.
Go ahead, Jaws. You got something to say.
Yeah, I think at the end he finally settled on one per chapter at least, and then some chapters possibly two.
Okay. Very good, very good. All right, yeah, that was helpful. There was a lot of rumbling in the crowd about that 50. Like that's a lot of clues. So yeah, so
But
good
like
stuff.
like
Stuff.
like Megan was saying though, like we've been tearing apart everything in these chapters, every single number we looked at. Like to hear
Right.
there's only
Oh.
one possibly in each chapter, I was like, I gotta
And we're
reevaluate like
keeping a
which one is.
tally. Yeah, we've got a tally of how many times he said number, 5. We have a tally of how many times he said number 10, not just per chapter. We have tallies for the whole first half. So it's big. We were pulling way too much out.
So that's my next question is tell me what's like the most clues in a chapter that you think you've found.
Just visualizing my list. Yeah, just visualizing my list, I would say we're at like 10 to 12.
Oh, in
But
an individual chapter?
yeah, but we're pulling out every single number, every single color, every single uh, what felt like an instruction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Jaws, you feel the same way?
I feel like I have a lot of information that's not a clue that I need to figure out which is and which isn't now and throw away the static to get through it.
Right. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I think that does help kind of narrow it down a little bit so you're not putting too much emphasis in one chapter in particular. So, um, any other points you got? I have like one more that I think I want to hit before we get done, but I want to see if you guys have anything else that you wanted to address.
I wanted to talk about when they asked about how he knew that someone was within 200 feet or
Oh,
yards,
right.
whatever. So he talked about that he got information. People are emailing him, sending him assaults, but then later on he said, but I don't see all, I don't know if people are close, with the PNF or whichever one that he used, because I don't see everything. I wouldn't know if somebody were there. So my question when I get to talk to him is like, how do the people who are reading your emails decide if they have no clue where the boxes are, what information gets to you? And so if you know that someone was within 200 yards of the Pokemon box, how did your email readers know to send that information to you? And then that somebody was asking in Discord, like, how come you only follow the JCB hunters?
Hmm.
And so, like, is his information coming from there? And like, how it doesn't, there isn't, I always try to come up with a logical explanation for every question that I get, and I cannot come up with a logical explanation on how someone who doesn't know where the box is, who's reading all of John's emails, knows what to send him so he knows someone's been close on all of them but one.
I think that's an extremely fair point. We all have our different ways of contacting John, and if someone else is filtering through that, and how do we know? John was really clear about that he did not know everything that was going on, and for every one of us that sends him stuff, there's 100 that don't, right? So there's that
Mhm.
component of it as well. But you're right. I mean, how are they determining what gets to John? So any thoughts on that, Jaws?
Do you think it's possible that he had these people that are working for him sign an agreement that they wouldn't go look for the box and they get to know like the general area of the box, but not the exact spot? So maybe when they get Bruce's solve over in Crayer Park, they can look at that and be like, oh, that's the park. We should probably send this to John so he knows.
It could be. I mean, I'm sure that John's staff is well compensated, and for the because they are hiding. Basically they're getting access to like everything. They're like if they plug everything into it, that we're sending them into AI, they probably would come up with some stuff, right? But yeah, I'm gonna assume there's some serious NDAs in place there, and
Mm-hmm.
or just people that John really trusts. And again, I think you're right. Like maybe there's some keywords or some area, if it's this state or if it's this whatever, right? So I don't know. That's a great question to ask, John. I think that's the toughest part of this. Like you said, Megan, like we don't know what's getting through to him. I had the
Right.
same thing. Like when I went through the book signing line, my first question to him was, one, do you check out the pod? He didn't. He wasn't aware. He didn't seem to be aware of that. So I gave him some stickers. Two, I said, do you check your DMs on Instagram? Because I like basically live blog him on Instagram. Like, John, you're the only one I can talk to about this, and da da da. Right. So he says his assistant looks at that. I was like, all right, well, that sucks. So so I don't know that any of my stuff's getting to him at all. But I did mention that I appreciated him liking my things on X, and he does every single time I post something. I posted something last night. Literally within like 10 minutes, he liked it. So that's going to be my new vehicle to convey information cryptically, probably to John is via X. That would be what I would recommend to you. He did, and he actually said that to me. He said when I told him I send stuff on X, and I appreciate him liking me. He said it looks like you're having a good time out there. And I am. And if I was tweeting stuff that said I was really pissed off or whatever, he probably wouldn't have said that, I guess, or whatever. So I'm going to assume that he actually sees some of my stuff on X. But that's the only one that I think is like the reliable. I mean, if there's any reliable one, that's the only one that I would be somewhat confident because he does acknowledge it. Like he could acknowledge on Instagram a DM. You can like it. You can do something, right? So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. It's a great point, Megan. I think we need a common like way to get information to him. But on the other hand, if he does that, then what happens then? Like the floodgates open, right? Everybody is dumping
First
everything in
thing
there.
again.
But
So
the first thing it made me think of when Megan said that and we started talking about it was right before we started recording. I asked Bruce how many solves he heard while he was at the con. And now I'm thinking, man, if Bruce heard that many, how many are these poor people getting in the email every day that they have to look at?
Right.
100%. And it was great to hear people solve. You get great perspectives, but you're right. I mean, and I can only listen to one solve at a time, right? It's not like an email where everybody's just dumping other stuff in there constantly or whatever. So it's a great point. And, yeah, you can only, there's only so many hours in a day to sift through our crazy theories, I guess. But yeah, great question. Great question. What else? Anything else you guys got?
We're getting short on time, Bruce. You said you had one more thing you wanted to talk about, though?
Yeah, there was one other thing. Yeah, well, hey, but this has been, I think it's been good. We got a lot of good stuff out there, a lot of good points, I think. And here's the one that, hey, welcome back to part 2 of this episode of X Marks the Pod. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties. Jaws got us back on and rebooted. So we're going to continue our discussion. One question that we have is when John was asked about substitution ciphers, John's response was, "What's a substitution cipher?" And to me, he looked genuinely kind of confused by the question. So that begs the question, are ciphers a part of any of the solves other than the cryptogram in the past and future box? What do you guys think?
In my opinion, the question just wasn't phrased out to him well. And just because that she was pretty specific in how that cipher worked, that doesn't mean that there isn't a different type of cipher that's used. Just maybe not the way she explained the cipher she was alluding to.
Okay. Jaws, thoughts?
Yeah, that was my exact thinking as well. Like, I think there may be other ciphers, but it's like you said, we specifically asked about Froki. We didn't ask about Gray Ninja. You specifically asked about a substitution cipher. That doesn't mean there's not one of the other 10 million types of ciphers that are out there somewhere in there.
Right. I guess my thought would be that the fact that a substitution cipher is pretty much the most basic type of cipher out there, and these other ones, that the Caesar cipher or Caesar shift or all, I don't even know. Like I don't look into that myself. So to me, that again, I'm 2-1 that I'm going to go. I don't think there's any other ciphers other than the cryptogram. He talks about there not being any grand ciphers or something like that in the book. I just don't think that's, and he emphasized about especially the past future box, like look at the word search. That's what you need to look at. And people are taking that like kind of the Jaws approach. Well, I need to look at it from a cipher perspective, where I think it's just the words that are in the word search is what you need to. So that's an interesting thought, but it's definitely causing a lot of discussion and probably some consternation with some folks in the community trying to figure that one out. All right. That was all I really had for big takeaways from the Q&A. Any other ones that you guys liked or heard or that wanted to touch on?
Your clue or not a clue game. Someone mentioned on Facebook that all of the questions that were given to John to choose from when Kimberly asked are still listed up on Calazar's website. So you can see all the questions that he chose not to answer, and you can choose whether or not that's a clue or not, that maybe those were specific ones he didn't want to give anything away on.
Very good. Very good. Jaws, anything?
No, I think we pretty well covered it. Just one thing I do want to throw out, as we talked about early on in the episode, we do have Justin Posey coming on in the very near future, hopefully. We would love to get feedback from the community, things that you want us to ask. Comment on this video when we're done. Send us an email with questions, whatever you want to do. Get us some questions, and that way we have a bank of things we can filter through to ask him when he's on our show. We don't want it to just be things that we're wondering about. We want it to be things that the community wants to ask him.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have questions about Indiana. And so next week we have a special guest. So like, comment, share. Who's our special guest, Bruce? I'll let you talk about that.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty exciting. We got a lot of stuff going on right now. Like I said, Justin agreed. I'm still coordinating with Justin on a date, but of the three of us, I'm the only one spinning boots on the ground for BTME. Immediately after Justin said he'd be on the pod, I messaged those guys and said, you got to buy BTME. You got to download the Jibel. You got to get up to speed on this. But still, we know there's probably going to be some gaps in our knowledge that we haven't, because we're not 24/7 on this one. But interested in what you guys have to say. And yeah, at the con, I ran into Habeas Treasurus, a very interesting man, and we Megan's crush on.
That's my heart.
Yeah, there's a heart for Habeas. Great guy. We had a great conversation about the Pokemon box. I didn't get a chance to talk to him after the John Q&A, and real quick, I was like, I'm curious at what this did to yourselves. And he was like, he's kind of shaking his head and like, I got to rethink some stuff, whatever. But reached out to him. We're gonna have him on next week and talk to him and get some more details on his thoughts. So that'll be fantastic. Wow, this was a long episode, but I feel like we had a lot of good stuff going on here, a lot of good discussion. Like Josh said, like, comment, and please subscribe. We're getting close to that magic 500 subscriber number. If you like us at all, please just hit that button for us one time. Let us get to that goal. Make us feel like we're doing something positive here, and we'll do that. But yeah, everything like I said, we talked about. I think a lot of relevant stuff. John, way more information than I thought we would get. We appreciate him showing up for that. And man, I think 2026, the year of the Found Treasure Box. We are on it. We're going to be out there looking. I'll be out in South Dakota this weekend looking for Lion Share, looking at my pictures for the AI pictures, and trying to find some box. So thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you. We're looking forward to seeing you guys out at Seeking, or the Seeker Summit, and in March. We'll talk about that more later. But until next time, happy hunting, and we'll see you.
Bye.
Adventures calling, treasure awaits. Join us on a journey, let's open the gates. Welcome to the pod where the treasure is found. X marks the pod, let's gather around.